Hey, Greg here for Party File. I got Scott behind the camera. We're going to talk about ranged attacks targeting models in melee. These ranged attacks are not AoEs and not sprays. We're just talking about direct ranged attacks. Okay? So we'll go around the table. I'll give you a quick example of how that works, and then we'll add in some complexity. All right, so come down here, and this is the situation here. We have Jarl, the skull of something. He's a troll warlock caster. We have Harkovich, the Iron Wolf. He is a Khador warcaster. We have Troll Mauler, a bunch of Iron Fang pikemen, and Ruin. Now, this is the situation. The Mauler has gone in. He's beat up Harkovich a bit, but he's left him on a few boxes, and Jarl wants to finish the job. Now, Jarl is advanced to here. He has a gunfighter. He could probably normally charge from the position, but he's advanced to here. He couldn't charge into Harkovich, so he has to shoot his guns into melee. When you're shooting into melee, as if the target is engaged or being engaged, it gets a +4 defensive bonus. So Harkovich is a pretty healthy 18 or 19 defense, depending on what his base defense is. And Jarl has to roll against that. So he boosts and he misses. So when you miss with a ranged attack that is not an AoE or a spray, you have to determine if you hit other models that are in the melee. And the way you determine other models in the melee is you start with the intended target, being Harkovich, and you determine which models he is engaging. So he is engaging the Mauler. The Mauler, and then from there you branch out one more time. So you go to the Mauler and you say, is the Mauler engaging or being engaged by any other models? In that case, there is not. So this is the only other model involved in this melee. So Jarl will make an attack roll against the Mauler, determine if he hit him, and you will, if he boosted, which you did against Harkovich, the attack roll will also be boosted, and because Jarl is in the back arc of the Mauler, he will also gain the back strike bonus. So you would resolve that attack. If it missed, it missed. If it hits, great. If it misses, you don't roll again against any other models in the melee. You only determine one more time if you hit any other models. So let's complicate this a little bit to see how crazy we can make it. So we're going to move an Iron Fang pikeman over here. We're going to move Ruin over a little bit.
Throw a model out of range or something.
Yep. Boop. We got a little Kovnik dude over there. And just to put a bomber in there. Okay? So, same situation. The Mauler has gone in and beat up Harkovich a bit. Jarl wants to finish the job. He advances to here. He makes an attack roll on Harkovich. I'm pretty sure I can still... Yeah, he's got a medium base. You can see Harkovich just fine. He makes his attack roll and he misses. Now we have to determine who is involved in the melee. And this gets a little more complicated because there's a lot more models standing around. So, first step, you go to the intended target, Harkovich. Who is Harkovich engaging? Now, does he have a 1 or a 2 inch for me? All right. So
assume it's 2.
We'll assume it's 2. So in that case, we'll put this guy out a bit. So we'll assume it's 2, and we measure to see who Harkovich is engaging. Now remember, you can only...
1.
It's 1? Okay, perfect. Perfect! You can only engage enemy models. So in this case, Harkovich is only engaging the Mauler, just as before. But this is where it gets more complicated. Now we have to determine who the Mauler is in melee with. So like I said, start with the intended target. Who is the intended target in melee with? So you determine which enemy models are in melee with him. And now you determine which models are in melee with the models that are in melee with the intended target. So Harkovich, Mauler, and now we look at it and we see Ruin is in melee with the Mauler, the Kovnik is in melee with the Mauler, the Iron Fang pikeman here is in melee with the Mauler, this guy's out. So we've quickly determined that these 4 models are involved in the melee that Harkovich is involved in. So now you determine randomly who Jarl is going to take his shot at because he missed. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 models. We randomly roll it to determine who it is. And let's say it's the Kovnik. Okay? Now normally, the Kovnik is out of line of sight and is not a legit target. But in the case of missing a shot into melee, line of sight doesn't matter. But what does matter is the range. So Jarl is normally 10, 12 inches. So he's out, okay? If he sniped himself or something like that, he might be in range. So if the Kovnik is rolled as the model that's going to be shot at for the missed shot, and it's out of range, you don't make the attack roll, nothing happens, but you ignore line of sight. If it's any of the other models, like I think even... It could be possible this guy could be out of line of sight, but like I said, line of sight's not an issue. So if you rolled the Iron Fang pikeman and Jarl is in range, he would make an attack roll on the Iron Fang Pikeman. Boosted if he boosted on the initial intended target. Backstrike only if the rolled model has his back to Jarl. And that's it. So we'll go over the determining which models are in melee again. And I guess I put this guy here for a reason. So you start with the intended target. Any enemy models that the intended target is engaging or is being engaged by are potential targets. So the Mauler, the bomber is out of range. Then you go from the Mauler. Anybody who is engaging or is engaged by the Mauler is also a potential target. So these 3 models, okay? Those are the only 2 steps. You don't go and say, hey, who's this guy engaged with? Because then this guy could be potential. No, it doesn't go like that. It's only 2 steps. The initial target, the intended target, and any models that are being engaged or engaged by models that are in melee with the intended target. Sounds complicated, but it actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, so that's missing models in melee with a ranged attack that are not sprays or AoEs. Important, sprays and AoEs follow their own rules for targets in melee. Ignore that for this. But that's that. Sounds complicated, it's actually not that bad. Initial target, whoever he's engaging, and then whoever they're being engaged or engaging. Okay? Boop, boop, boop. All right, good luck.
And follow our Patreon and support us.
Yes, follow our Patreon and support us.
So that way we can have better lighting and Greg doesn't
Yes.
look like a Muppet.
I always look like a Muppet.